Plaintiff Dylan High met the defendants in high school, and they rented an apartment together. Dylan claims while living together, the defendants used drugs in the apartment, and both of them tried to get with Dylan's fiancée. Dylan suing his former roommates for rent and damages. Defendants Christopher Martin and Robert Hagedorn say while living with Dylan, he and his fiancée constantly had violent arguments, and Dylan would often leave bruises on her. Robert and Christopher say the fighting forced them out of the apartment, and they don't owe Dylan anything.
Start with you.
All right, well, I met Christopher and Robert all freshman year in high school, and we had a friendship on and off where we hung out through senior year. And then after senior year, Bobby had the idea, hey, we all need to move in. They asked me if I would like to move in with them. We all agreed that everything would get split between 3 ways, to where rent was gonna get paid $150 per person, and then whatever utilities were gonna get paid. I ended up having to pay all the portion of April, May, and June because they only wanted to pay part of March, which was only the deposit. Everything else got left to me to be paid.
All right, let me hear from them first, and we'll get into the specifics. Gentlemen?
Your Honor, I've known Dylan for, like he said, 4 or 5 years now. He is currently with his former, his girlfriend right now. He's engaged. She is 27, he's 19, and they got engaged after 4 months of being together.
You got anybody?
No, Your Honor. But there is a lot of abuse that goes on within that relationship. Like, she'll want to leave.
Do you want to speak on this or not? Because it's not relevant.
Honestly, it's irrelevant, and there has been no abuse.
He is currently with his former, his girlfriend right now. He's engaged. She is 27, he's 19, and they got engaged after 4 months of being together.
You got anybody?
No, Your Honor. But there is a lot of abuse that goes on within that relationship.
Plaintiff Dylan High is suing his former roommates, who claim Dylan physically abused his fiancée.
But you are suing him for damages.
Correct.
And perhaps he's suggesting that their fighting or something caused damages? Is that
Yes.
what you're? All
Yes.
right, he's laying the foundation to talk about damages that he thinks you committed as opposed to what you're suing him for. So go right ahead. You're saying they would get into it.
They would get into huge arguments where he would leave his hands on her, which would bruise her up really bad, and he would throw phones at her.
How long did you all stay together?
I was at the house for a couple of months, and then.
And how many times in a couple of months did you see this type of interaction?
It was all the time, Your Honor.
Really?
Yes.
They used to argue throughout the day multiple times. It'd go on and off. They argue, he'd try to make up 10 minutes later, and then they argue 30 minutes afterwards.
Is this true?
We didn't argue all the time. The only reason why we started arguing,
I'm gonna ask you the reason. One more time. How often?
not often.
Okay, I'm going to believe them. That's a non-responsive answer. All right, so you say he damaged the property during the arguments?
Yes.
And you say he also assaulted her?
Yes.
All right, good enough. All right, you want to get back to the rent?
The only reason why we argued a lot was because Christopher, after Patty and I broke up, tried forcing her to date him so many times to where she kept saying no. And she came back to me, and then while I was dating her, Bobby said 2 different times while I was at work that she'd be better off with him than without me.
Okay, now let's get to the rent.
What does that mean?
You're suing for rent.
Right. The rent I'm suing because I had a receipt that they only paid part of March, was only the deposit.
Okay.
But I have a letter stating from my landlord.
Let's start with how much do they owe for March?
March, they owe still $225. So
that
I end up having to pay the rest.
All right, how much would that be per person?
It's $150 per person.
Equals $225?
Well, $150 per person is what I was only looking for April, May, and June. March, we're not even worried about because we had that.
So you're not suing for March?
No.
You just wanted to mention it?
That's when we started the lease. It's the only reason why.
Okay, so in April they paid how much?
They did not pay anything.
All right, so they owe $300 for April. How much for May?
They did not pay anything.
And June?
They did not pay anything.
All right, and you still live there?
Yes.
And the damages you're suing for,
Right.
what did they do?
They would get high all the time off of either spice, weed. They had a friend that they would bring in and was always getting high no matter what, would always wake up, do drugs, pass out, to where it got to the point to where Patty wanted her kid there at the house, and they told her that drugs were more important than her trying to bring her kid into the house.
Okay, I'll ask you one more time. What damages did they cause?
They put a bunch of holes in the walls, and I have pictures of it.
All right, and I'm sure they're going to tell me you did it during your frequent arguments and violence. So give me a description of who did it and when.
One hole is because Bobby got mad when we tried telling him that it'd be better if he moved out with him not having a job, to where he chucked a pop bottle at the window. And then he got mad and also threw a chair and it put a hole in the wall. And they would wake up and would start getting violent with everything and would pull holes in the wall.
They would wake up and just become violent.
No, we got into an argument while they were high and they started putting holes in the wall, to where they woke up afterwards of passing back out and asking
You see,
what
you're
they did.
confusing me. They put holes in the wall. Why are you looking like that? Are you starting to look contemptuous? You're not making sense. So let's try it again. They made holes in the wall and then woke up, or they woke up first and made holes in the wall?
They would always be passed out around the house everywhere. And then when they woke up, we got into an argument because I told them I didn't want them disrespecting me. If I lived there and I wanted Patty's kid there, I was not going to be having drugs in the house, to where they got violent, started doing a bunch of damage. And then they
Now
ended
you
up,
have to be more specific, because you sound like this is one instance you're referring to.
it was many instances.
And each time it was the exact same thing. They wake up, ooh, been getting high all night. Y'all disrespected me. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do this. Hey man, let's get these chairs. Go ahead. That's your story. Stick with it.
Plaintiff Dylan High is suing his former roommates, who claim Dylan physically abused his fiancée.
What do you want to tell me about the rent, gentlemen?
Okay, the rent, we did move in March with him, as he has said, but by the time it reaches the beginning of May, we felt forced out because his girlfriend, she had some close friends she wanted to have move in. Well, so we agreed. They seemed pretty cool. They hung out a couple times. And once they got in, they started being kind of like physically and verbally abusive. And so we kind of felt forced out. And so we left it by like May 10th. And so we feel like we don't owe for May or June because of that. And as he has said, yes, we did, we would get high, but we were mature about it. We would listen to music. We would play a video game or something. But him, though, he'd be immature. He'd have his anger issues. He's overly immature. He joined us one time.
Yep.
And
I believe he damaged the property. I believe he has anger issues. So I believe you all regarding damage. But your defense that he forced you out, well, you all were getting high all the time. So neither of you all were good tenants. You all getting high in the house all the time, committing illegal acts. He's doing whatever you all say he's doing, angry and arguing. So none of you all were great tenants. Therefore, I'm going to order you to pay the amount that he's suing you for regarding the rent, and that is $900. Have a good day, gentlemen.
I think it's stupid that you said that all we did was smoke weed when that's all you did too.
Yeah,
So,
you joined
actually,
in.
I mean,
you would push yourself
guys
off the
at
wall
least
trying to
tell
be
the
some
truth.
kind of
At least
The truth, you guys could test me right now. I'm not on drugs. You're the one that came over and would want to smoke with my neighbor.
I lived there, dude. What are you talking about?
But even after you
worked
even
out with
after you
him.
guys left, Bobby would still come over. Oh, Spider, can we do drugs?